The Ansem Report podcast is brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/Ansem Report to get your free audiobook download and 30-day trial.
Ooh.
Good tidings, everybody, and welcome to the Ansem Report podcast. This is episode 7
Wow.
of the Ansem Report podcast. I am
Already
here
7.
with my beautiful baby brother, Jason.
Hi.
Just us two today again. The Masters, like we said last week,
Right. Scheming.
doing lots of stuff. I'm sure we'll get his review of Kingdom Hearts at some point, because that's what we're doing today. We are reviewing Kingdom Hearts. Before we do that, let's have some small talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's chat, Jason. Let's chat about stuff. What's going on with you, man, in a Kingdom Hearts related way?
In a Kingdom Hearts related way, I've been practicing speed running KHIII.
You have?
Yeah. With you.
Oh, yeah, I've been there too. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
How would you rate your success right now?
I would say pretty good.
Mildly successful?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting better. We're getting better. So that's cool. Did you see that they, whoever they are hacking Kingdom Hearts 3, and they found a critical mode buried in Kingdom Hearts 3?
Like critical mode files?
Like you can play the game on critical mode. Like it has the rule set, but it doesn't have like, oh, you get this ability at this level or not. You know,
Oh, it doesn't like change progression?
No. So a lot of people are like, oh, there's no mirror paywalling us, and it's like, no, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
What's happening is
It's not ready.
it was included in point 2. So, and
I just think it wasn't ready.
I just think point 2, the game, that was the first thing they did, and so it was in point 2, and so they had it in the code, and then they didn't finish it because they were like, you know what, we're eventually going to finish this. Just we need to get the game out. That's what I think.
Yeah, I just think it wasn't finished.
I've seen some people like streaming in critical mode.
Oh, like hacking it?
Yeah. It's like, okay. Is it really critical mode though?
No, yeah, I would want it to be like
in critical mode Sora Alam.
I wouldn't want it to be like don't talk shit on Dean. Also, I would want it to be like a legitimate critical mode. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I want to down to critical mode when I
and
press
it's like,
new
are
game.
you sure you want to do
And
that?
they're like, are you sure? You're an ultimate badass if you play on critical
I would like
mode.
John Cena to like.
No
feel-
one else has ever played on critical mode in a Kingdom Hearts game. Are you sure you want to do this?
I would like John Cena to peel back the title screen and go, "Are you sure
sure?
about that? Are you sure about that?" I would enjoy that. But hopefully, critical mode is something that comes soon. I can't imagine.
I wonder what their like timeline is on updates.
That's the thing, because they haven't officially announced anything. It was more like Namir got interviewed, and he was like, "Yeah, we'd like to do some DLC, some free stuff, maybe a paid thing down the line, but there won't be a final mix version of the game," is what he said. But that was like a translation, so I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know how accurate that is. But I'd like to see, and actually, that's what we're going to talk about next week, Jason, is we're going to talk about what DLC, if we were designing Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, what would we do?
Okay.
So look forward to that next week, folks.
Oh man.
We're gonna conclude our small talk portion of this by talking about a thing that I've seen on the internet and gone, really, you guys? And that's people thinking that the Kingdom Hearts 3 logo.
Oh my God, this is so stupid.
So if you look at the Kingdom Hearts 3 logo, the Roman numeral 3 behind Kingdom Hearts, there's a like metal grayish gradient that goes diagonally across the 3. And because the third I in the Roman numeral, the top of it is black, some people, I'm not going to name any names, would have said, "Oh, it's missing." So
signifies that's
what
2.9.
if Nomura is like, "Oh, this isn't really Kingdom Hearts 3, and this is his way of tricking us." So
doubtful.
I gotta say, I appreciate the creativity.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, if you are if you're a Kingdom Hearts YouTuber or influencer and you think this is real, I think you should probably delete your YouTube channel.
Oh my god.
Maybe stick to watching Steven Universe or whatever else you do.
God.
And get out of here. And maybe worry about if your shirt's dirty or not before you
my
start shooting
God.
vlogs. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Some hot stuff over here.
Some tea for you, if you will. Found the ingredients for it thanks to Donald.
It took him 10 minutes to tell me that they were there, though.
Yeah, he does his best. He's a small little guy. He does his best, that Donald. Anyway, so that's going to do it for this first segment. We're going to take a very small break because the next segment is going to be huge. And we're going to finally review Kingdom Hearts 3. We're going to talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. And I even have a section that things we were just meh about.
Okay.
It's kind of the middle, you know?
Meh.
It's meh. I'm meh about this. I'm not good or bad. I'm just meh. So stay tuned to that, with that, whatever you want to say. Billy Zane's going to take us away, and we're going to have a short sponsor read, and then we'll be back with the review of Kingdom Hearts 3, finally.
Thank you. And goodbye.
So you have come this far, and still you understand nothing.
Jason, I have a question for you.
What's the question, Mike?
Did you know that if you go to audibletrial.com/Ansem Report, you can get a free audiobook and 30-day trial for free just for
Wow.
listening to the show?
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah. Do you like reading?
No.
I hate reading. I'm practically illiterate.
Yeah.
But with
Me too.
Audible, I can take whatever book they have. They have tons and thousands, hundreds of thousands of books
Millions?
read by different people, including voice actors from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my god.
Like Quentin Flynn.
That's my favorite.
Or Haley Joel Osment.
Oh my god.
The voice actor of voice actors. And I can listen to the audiobooks, and I don't even have to read.
Wow.
And for someone who's illiterate like myself, that makes all the difference. So go to audibletrial.com/Ansem Report to get your free audiobook and 30-day free trial. And it supports us, and possibly I could go to school so I can learn how to read. So thank you.
Every dollar counts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good tidings, all that good stuff. This is the Ansem Report podcast. This is Ansem Report number 7. We are going to review Kingdom Hearts. Jason, are you excited for that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start with a positive of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
And then if you want to
I will start with a negative.
If you want to jump in with a negative, you can.
I don't have a negative. Give me a second. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, whoa. There's going to be some triggered
There's
people
some
with
triggered
that.
people.
My first positive is the game looks amazing.
It does.
It's a very good-looking game. The character models look good. The areas look good. The areas still keep that kind of diorama style that they have in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, you know, where it's kind of like it's not really an open world. There's like false walls everywhere, but it's okay.
Right, yeah.
Like it works. And it just looks good. The Caribbean,
There's a lot of games that do that too.
in particular, looks very good. The Caribbean, Big Hero 6 looks like everything looks good. There's not the only level that's kind of like weird is Olympus.
Really?
I don't know if you've noticed, Olympus looks not nearly as good in comparison. It's almost like they designed that one first, or they
I don't know. I think it looks really good.
I don't know. Really pay attention to it next time you play through it. And the jump to Twilight Town, it's pretty, like, especially in the cutscenes, you'll watch it and
I
you'll
guess
go,
maybe in like the shadows.
yeah, it's
like
just
the
not,
shadowing.
the fidelity isn't as good. And even like, because
I don't know. When you're walking through like where the mountains and stuff are, it looks really good.
I don't know if I agree with that. We have our first disagreement of the review.
Okay. Well,
Anyway.
you're wrong. Thank you.
Anyway,
Next.
I love the final world. It
Okay.
looks that's a super like really pretty area.
Yeah.
Because it's just like all watery and sky, and there's
The effects are very
the
good.
effects are good and everything looks good. And then in particular in cutscenes, a lot of the facial animations look really good. There's a couple where it's like that's a little strange and weird, but most of them are very
Yeah.
good, and they
The only one that I like that stood out to me to where I even remember it is when Sora does his funny face in Monsters Inc.
well that
Like, because it's a throwback, but it
Right.
doesn't look like the throwback at all.
well it's also he's like a weird cat monster
Right.
thing, so that's
but
weird.
like they could have, he's a cat monster. They could have had something crazy happen,
right,
where like
coulda-
he sticks his tongue out and it's like in two.
right, or he could have like I don't know, grown 3 more eyes and become a Satan beast.
Yeah,
That definitely could have happened.
yeah. And Boo would have been like, ha ha ha, ha.
Yeah, because Boo likes monsters for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my first positive. Do you have a positive you want to throw at me?
A positive. I don't feel like I'm forced to play any specific way.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of play how I want to play.
Okay, that's fair.
I use.
I mean, the smart way is just to spam fire
Yeah, sometimes.
most of the time.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Why are we staring each other down about this?
I don't know.
It's
I
weird.
don't know.
So you like that there's not, it doesn't say, hey, you have to play this way or this way or this
Right.
way.
I could just go through and mash X if I want.
Yep.
Or I can hold L1 and mash X, you know?
Yeah,
Like
that's very true. That's very true. I do agree with you on that. I think the Keyblade graveyard with the million heartless, billion heartless fight, trillion heartless fight, whatever it is
yeah.
a very good example of that, because it kind of feels like you've built up all these like skills, whether it's attraction flow or links or different Keyblade transformations, and you just empty your arsenal on these
Right.
heartless, you know, and
It's like they went to the drawing board and were like, what would be something cool to kill a million heartless with?
I know you could turn into a train.
Yeah. Or you can kill them with a hentai monster.
Yeah.
Tentacles.
Or you could shoot a giant nano fist across the screen and
Yeah.
it clears out the whole area, even area you can't even go into.
Right.
It just keeps going. So yeah, I agree. There's the gameplay in general is really fun.
Yeah.
It's easy, which we'll talk about as a negative, kind of,
Yeah.
but it's really fun. The Keyblade mechanics are cool. I like being able to level up my Keyblades. I like being able to switch between Keyblades. I like the links for the most part. I think Wreck-It Ralph's stupid, but other than that, I like the links.
Yeah.
I think
I can agree with you on that.
attraction flows are awesome. Even the blaster, even though the blaster's the one that I like the most or like the least.
Yeah. It feels like really slow. Like if it like they could like patch it to where like I don't know if it's just that like it moves very slow. Like it's like you're on a really low sensitivity, like or if it just like the actual attraction flow itself, I feel like it moves kind of slow. Just like the basic
also,
move speed.
I feel like Donald and Goofy don't really contribute in that one.
That's true
They're
too.
supposed to have their own guns according to the thing, and I don't see them shooting
Yeah.
anybody. And that's, sad. I like that. I want them to be able to help me.
Yeah, that'd be cool to add that on.
Yeah. Speaking of gameplay, I think there's some really cool Heartless bosses. That's another one of my positives.
Okay.
Skull, the wolf man with no
Yeah.
hind legs. He's like a wolf slug or ghost, or I
It's
don't
a
know.
wolf biped.
And he drags his
Tail
ghostly
around.
tail around. But it's a very epic feeling boss fight. The
Yeah.
music's really good. He brings down the fucking moon on you, Majora's
Yeah.
Mask style, and you bust it up using shot locks and good old marshmallow. I really like that boss fight. Both the Tangled bosses, the horse guy.
Yeah.
I like him, and then I like the tower boss. The tower boss is really cool.
Yeah.
And then also the King of Toys and the Evil Doll in Toy Story are both really cool Heartless
Yeah.
bosses.
I did like that.
There are some bad Heartless bosses, but the ones that are good are really good.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think there was like thinking back on like old Kingdom Hearts games, when there was like a transition to kind of like a second form or something, it felt like it was like way too long. You know what I mean? So like for example, like Jafar, you're fighting Jafar, and then there's
you
the
feel
whole
like the boss fights are paced better?
yeah,
I agree.
I think they're paced better, and there's not like a lot of times where like when you're fighting Jafar in Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2 where you're just hitting him repeatedly and he doesn't move and he just stands there.
Right.
There's not a lot of just like beating on someone who's like incapable of damaging you.
Right. I agree. They don't feel as much like HP sponges
Yeah.
a lot of the time. The closest one that comes to that is actually one I said I really liked, which is that horse boss in Tangled. But I still really like it. And the only reason it feels like that is because he just does the same form 3 times
I
in
think
a
the
row.
only one that I don't like the boss, I'm just like, legitimately don't like this, is the Pirates one, where you're flying and shooting.
Yeah, that
it.
one is definitely an HP sponge.
Yeah.
And it's sad because when we saw the trailer, we were really hyped for that one.
Right.
Because it showed the part where you're on its back hitting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that boss is just gimmicky and it's not fun.
Yeah, I don't really like it that much.
I would have much rather fought the Kraken
Yeah.
in that scenario, and then you run it off, and then you see it again later, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And the way
yeah.
they decided to fight the Kraken was with a ship, which makes sense because most of the combat in that world was with the ship. But
Yeah.
that Heartless boss was not fun. But we're not talking about negatives right now. We're talking about positives.
Right.
Next positive, Disney Worlds. They are great, mostly. I put mostly in parentheses on my notes. Mostly. Tangled might be my favorite Disney World in the game.
This is a good one.
In the moment, I didn't appreciate it as much because I was like, oh, when I get to Pirates and when I get to Big Hero 6, I'm gonna be like, oh, this is so cool. But like in the moment, I didn't appreciate it. But then I like played those worlds, and those worlds were fine. But Tangled, you don't do a whole lot of backtracking, and when you do, it's like urgent.
Yeah.
And like you go into that, like if you just walk into the town and you go dance, then leave. Like, there's a whole section of the town you can explore that has chests everywhere and hidden emblems.
Right.
The forest itself is cool, and I like hanging out with Rapunzel, and she's discovering the world for the first time, and you get to hang out with her. I really like Tangled.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Box is really cool. Toy Box wasn't as cool as I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why I feel that disappointment, but it's still really cool.
To me, I was thinking about it, and I think the reason I was kind of disappointed is I feel like I was imagining kind of like Toy Story 2 style, where like they're busting out the boxes to fight you. Like if they had it where like the Heartless just like there's like boxes, and then as you're running past, they kind of like, even if they just like the box like shakes and then the Heartless just appears out of it.
Yeah,
there doesn't have to be an animation of it busting out. I just like, that's what I was thinking of when it's like Toy Story World. I'm thinking of Hal's Toy Barn, but like all the toys are Norded.
Right, and they did a little bit of that. Like there was specific Heartless that like they'd possess the little pig toy, or like
there is that.
There's that, but it was so focused on the mechs.
Also, there wasn't like Toy Story. Like the Heartless didn't feel like they were from the Toy Story. Like they didn't look like toys to me, if that makes sense. Because we've played Toy Story 3 on the channel.
Yeah.
There's very clear that is a toy. You know what I mean?
The
only ones that I saw where I'm like, okay, that's cool, is like the big ones. Where it's like it
like the big
it's
dragon
and the Gundam type things. Those are like clearly toys, and I really like how those are. Like those are probably my favorite enemies in there. But like the little guys, I don't know. For whatever reason, I just felt like they weren't very.
Well, they picked like the cutest like little toys you could fight. You know what I mean?
That too.
They're like these fat like stuffed animal,
right?
Or like this little robot guy with a fan for a body. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, they went weird with the toys you fought. I thought they could do some more cool stuff with that. That it was a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
However, I still liked the world a lot.
No, yeah, I think I still really like it.
Pirates, obviously, it was like a mini Black Flag.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Even the underwater section at first, when you're, even collecting crabs, like there wasn't a part of it where I was like, this is draggy and I don't like this.
Yeah.
Pirates was really good.
And you can really do it at your own pace because of like how easy it is.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you don't collect a bunch of crabs, okay, you're fine.
I don't know. The first time I did the big ship battle without Yeah, I struggled on that ship battle that happens before you go to the Kraken battle because I didn't upgrade my ship at all. Because I was like, I just want to kind of get through this, and then I fought that fight probably 5 or 6 times before I beat it, and I got lucky. I was level 1,
Right.
on standard, but yeah, and I know Addison had the same problem with that one, but I like the world overall. I thought it was. It's. We'll talk about this more in pacing, but my big disappointments with the worlds that I'm disappointed with are that they were like tied into the story, but in a very like. I'm trying to think of the right word. A very like, oh, I guess these are tied into the story way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
And Pirates was definitely that.
it jumps around a lot in a lot of
Because
the worlds,
in
especially Pirates.
In Pirates, it was like, oh, Luxord's here looking for the box, but they never explain why Luxord wants the box.
Yeah.
But
They don't
then-
even show the box until like the very end
But
of the
then
world.
Vexen's there, and he wants to see how Davy Jones can be without a heart, and he seems very evil. But
Yeah.
then the next scene you see him, he's saving Ansem, and he's not evil. Yeah, the Pirates. Anyway, we'll get to that when we talk about pacing, which is one of our next topics. But I also liked Big Hero 6, even though it wasn't as cool as I wanted it to be as well. Oh, and Monsters Inc. I love Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. was
Even though
like,
Monsters Inc. was basically mob fight simulator and corridor simulator, I loved how it was tied into the story. I loved.
yeah.
Yes, it was frustrating that can we just get Boo to her door already? So we, but
Yeah.
that was the point.
Right. That's like how the whole entire movie is.
Right. Exactly.
But my only thing with that was I wish there was more like being around where the doors are, because that's like iconic is like the doors,
yeah.
I don't know, kind of similar to like how it is in DDD, where you can move around where all the rails are. You can choose to go on the rails, but it's very on rails. Like,
Right. It was very much like you're going here and that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
You cannot turn around. You cannot, and that's how the whole level was. It was basically a court. You could take that level and mod it into like CS and make it like a first person shooter. You know what I mean? Like it has that, aesthetic to it and just the way anyway.
Yeah.
But I really liked how it tied into the story. Music and sound design.
95% good.
95?
More like 97.
97.
97% good.
I'd give it a 99%. There's only the only percentage point I can think of is I don't have a problem with the voice acting like you do sometimes. I think the voice acting's fine. I guess that's what I expected of Kingdom Hearts, so it doesn't bother me. My problem is the end boss music is good, but they kind of use it for every boss, every main, like the 13 you fight in Scarlet KHIII, and then the Xehanort.
It changes
fights.
once.
It changes once, but they're very similar songs.
Yeah.
And I found out recently that Yoko didn't do those songs.
Why?
It was a different composer. I don't remember his name, and that's shitty. But
why would they not? That makes no sense. Is that
Yeah.
the first time that they've done that?
I'm trying to remember his name or her name. I guess it's a him. I think. Yeah, but
That's strange.
it
It
was-
did not feel very. That's one thing we were talking about when I was speedrunning. Is like I was just fighting the last couple boss fights over and over to try and get better at them, and I liked the song. I was like, I really like the song, but it doesn't feel like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And I was like, at least not yet.
Well, because it was a different composer. Because
Right.
Yoko.
And now
has
I know
written
why.
Pretty much every song for Kingdom Hearts.
My heart and my soul knew.
Yeah. Yeah, your connection to Yoko's heart
Right.
was damaged.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. But and when I say music and sound design, I don't just mean like the music. I mean, the little details of the noise each Keyblade makes,
Yeah.
and when you're taking steps in water, and when you're walking through grass, or you hit something and it goes clang, or you know what I mean. Like all those sounds are really good. They're very cartoon. They're very Disney, and they've always done a really good job with that. Even and people are making fun of the ingredients thing, but I really like it.
Yeah.
It's a very weird phrase to get the Donald Duck voice actor to say, but I still really like it.
Yeah. No, like just like playing, because I've been playing a lot with like speedrunning. There's certain parts where I'm like annoyed because I keep replaying the same part, so they keep saying the same thing.
Like
right?
Goofy saying Xehanort must be around the city somewhere, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's on tour.
Right.
Xehanort's on tour. I kept saying that over and over. He wasn't getting happy with me.
Yeah.
But no, I think the sound design music is awesome. The last positive we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about multiple things within this positive, is the big story beats.
Big story beats, meaning when the big stuff happens.
Yes.
Meaning
so towards the end of the
the
game.
end of the game.
Yeah. First of all, my favorite scene is Roxas returning, and that the
reunion.
conclusion to the 358 over 2 days story.
Yeah.
I will talk about the conclusion to this game in general, but I think this game did a very good job of closing up story arcs that they had made over, the however many games it's been since Kingdom Hearts 1. So, and the 358 story came to a very good conclusion. Those three are back together.
Yeah.
Roxas is a badass. Axel,
As he should be.
still says got it memorized, and
snarky
Xion,
things.
and they all have clothes, and whatever. Issa's there too, and he's happy. And Hayner, Pence, and Olette got to meet Roxas finally and be friends with him, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just cool. I do.
They even like tied up like Recoded.
Yes.
And
They-
Repliku and stuff like that
they
too.
did even tie up Recoded. You were absolutely right. So I really liked that.
And Chain. Rechain.
I in that same vein, they really tied up BBS as well. With Terra, Aqua, and Ven.
There were some things that were like, wait, what? But it wasn't really like BBS related. It was more like Union Cross related.
Right. It's more about like what Ven is exactly.
Right. Union Cross is really the only big question mark right now.
Well, and the main storyline's a little.
Yeah, that too.
But BBS, they got their conclusion. They even got a reunion with Ericus.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool as well. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And it's a little fan servicey, I guess, but you need a little fan service in a game like this,
Right. Well, especially when it's like really dark for a while.
Yeah. Well, those characters, three characters in general, have gone through a lot, and so it was nice to see them get their conclusion where they're together. And
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, like when a lot of people are like, because I was reading a bunch of stuff on Reddit, and some people being like, "Oh,
well, that was your first mistake.
Why would they do this?" Like, and it's like, there's some nitpicks, right? And there's always gonna be people who are going to be like nitpicking, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, when they're saying like they don't feel good about certain conclusions, I think maybe they just haven't played it recently,
Yeah.
to where there is that emotional connection, because it's like there was points in our playthrough where I was just kind of like speechless because I was just like going through my feels, and
sure.
like with the 358, the BBS, like all those conclusions were just like you're thinking about like everything they've gone through to get to that point for everything to be okay, and then for all of the like side games, all those stories, at the end of the game, they still had their conclusion. You know,
Right.
There wasn't anything where it was like it screws over everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely. And that's nice because most of those games end pretty, like 358 ends pretty horribly for those characters.
yeah,
Birth by Sleep ends pretty horribly for those characters.
yeah,
So it's nice for those characters to get a positive, ending. And they're all on the beach playing and meeting each other, and all the fanfics people have written about, Naminé and Xion are
Right.
picking shells on the beach. It's like that's what happened.
Exactly.
And so that's really cool. If we're talking Disney worlds, we touched on this a little bit earlier. I really enjoyed Toy Story and Monsters Inc. in the way and Big Hero 6, in the way they tied in Kingdom Hearts to their story.
yeah,
And for Toy Story, it was the fact that young Xehanort, wanted to see, and this one's the weakest of the three, but he wanted to see how these toys could have hearts.
Right.
You know, and him being
Well, it ties in pretty well because it's like they're
Right.
trying to figure out with like the vessels and stuff. Like,
well, in Toy Story, I mean, what I mean by that is it's not like a retelling of Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3.
oh yeah,
It's its own story
I
that
see that.
ties into Kingdom Hearts, and apparently they worked with Pixar pretty heavily on that, which I think is really cool. And then Monsters Inc. does the same thing, where it's a sequel to Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
where Randall comes back,
Right.
and the scare energy is still haunting them, even though they don't use it anymore. You know, and that's what causes Vanitas to come back and get Yeetus. And you know, I really enjoyed that. And then my favorite of the three is actually Big Hero 6, because you've never seen Big Hero 6, so I don't think it had as much of an impact on you. But you know, the OG Baymax gets sucked into that portal and disappears, and they presume dead, and they actually bring that character back to be Dark Baymax. And
Well-
I think that's really cool, and I'm surprised Disney gave them permission to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really cool.
Well, and me having not known that, like, I was like, oh, snap, like, that's the original Baymax, not even knowing that the other Baymax wasn't the first
Right.
one.
Right, so it was almost like a twist for you. Where
Kinda,
if you had
yeah.
seen the movie, you'd know that's the second version of Baymax already.
Yeah.
You know, but I really thought that was really cool, and it's almost like if they make a Big Hero 6 sequel, which I think there's plans to, I'm going to be a little disappointed if it's not the Kingdom Hearts version of it, you know, where
Oh
there's
my
two
God.
Baymaxes, double Baymax all the way.
And they're like, yeah, Sora. And then, like, random mom in the theater is like, who the hell is Sora?
Right. Yeah, for sure. So I really enjoyed that story-wise. I got a shout-out to Yen Sid coming in like a fucking dive bomber.
Deus Ex Machina.
He finally got to do something.
Right, that's true.
I'm a little sad he didn't just like whip out a Keyblade, because to me, they're like, oh, he used to be a Keyblade master, and that's like such a fucking cop out.
Yeah,
You
it is
know,
kind of a cop out.
Ericus used to be a Keyblade master too, and then he trained people, but he still had a fucking Keyblade,
Yeah.
you know, and he'd still fight people
Well, no, he is a master. He was a
or
master.
whatever. He's old, okay. Yeah, you're telling me
And then Mickey calls him Master Yen Sid, and
Right.
so does Donald and Goofy.
right, but he can't pull out a Keyblade, you know, and maybe in the final mix DLC they'll show more of that scene with Sora or with Donald and Goofy and Yen Sid whooping ass.
That would be cool.
That would be, I'm assuming this Keyblade's just like Star Seeker or something
Yeah.
like that. But
That's one thing that I miss too. I remember thinking about it, like, part of why the 1,000 Heartless battle is so dope is like on the way there's like that build up with like you're fighting with all these different people, and it's like that's what I felt like was going to happen, because it's at the end.
Mhm.
You have all of the heroes, and then it's just, oh, they went on ahead while we killed 1,000,000 Heartless
Right.
ourselves.
Right.
I think that was a little lame. Like, you could have had them at least in the background, like a little pixelated, at least fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. We're not on negatives yet.
Okay. We're not on negative.
Yeah, Chad, you're so negative. The Kingdom Hearts fandom's negative. And then finally, one of my favorite, it's not just one story beat, but the way they treat the relationship between Sora, Donald, and Goofy is the best it's been in any game.
Yeah.
I felt like in the first game, Sora and Donald get mad at each other for a while, and it's like really unearned.
Yeah.
if you-
a little bit.
If you leave Traverse Town and go right to Tarzan, you're like, wow, these dudes already hate each other. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in 2 it's better, but in 3 it's the best. And that moment at the end when you're fighting Xehanort and you know the three of you Trinity together to stop him, and it's playing that swelling music, and you nod to Goofy and you nod to Donald. It's just the way they treat that relationship is so much better. The half pint thing's a little cheesy. I
Yeah.
could do without the half pint.
Yeah, it
thing.
was a little cheesy.
But my guess is that was like the best way to convey however they described it in Japanese.
oh, yeah, probably.
You know what I mean? It
It's
was
like a translation
It
thing.
might have been some like term in Japanese that we wouldn't understand, and so that was the best way to convey it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my guess. and that's why it's like, oh, whatever, half pint thing's fine.
That would make sense.
But
I could get behind that.
yeah, that's my theory. I don't know that's
Right,
true.
right.
So if you know Japanese and you're like, well, actually, that's fine. You can tell me in the comments. I won't be mad at you.
Please do.
Please let me know. So that's it for positives, and that's a lot of positives.
Yeah.
We're mostly pretty.
Oh yeah, we totally forgot. Gummy ships are dope.
Oh,
Did you have that as a negative? Don't you?
I had it as a meh.
Oh, I think gummy ships are dope.
I put gummy ships and meh after.
Okay, well, have you done all the gummy ship stuff?
I haven't done all of it, but I haven't wanted to.
Well, maybe you should want to. Just
Maybe
force
I should.
yourself.
And maybe that's why I put it in a meh instead of a bad, because you know what? It might be better than I'm giving it credit for. But to me, it was just the same old gummy ship stuff, but not on rails anymore. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But to me, that equals a meh, personally.
I don't know. I don't feel like it's same old
Here's
gummy
the thing.
stuff.
Here's the thing. I think the creation suite for the gummy stuff is super cool. People have made some really cool stuff with it.
Yeah, that is dope.
I think the actual gameplay of it is meh.
I don't know. I like flying around. You can literally go like wherever you want.
Except up or down.
Yeah, you can't go straight up or straight down, which is a little weird, but
See, I expect
really like
I expect you to be mad in the gummies because
No, I really liked it.
Okay.
Like especially like playing it like when I played it on my own. I would just like go through and like mine all the asteroids and like get all the collectibles along the way.
I do think it's cool you can get stuff in it that's not just like gummy parts. Like
right,
you see in
yeah,
the
yeah.
old
You
game.
can get parts to upgrade your Keyblade and
Right.
stuff.
I do think that's cool.
And then the whole constellations thing, I think that's cool. I think they could make it like, because the areas are so big that like trying to find all those constellations,
Yeah, you need a guide.
impossible. Yeah.
You need yourself a guide.
But that's really the only thing. I think it would be cool to have like and maybe there is, and I just didn't notice it, but like a more like detailed kind of like map wherein you're going around. Because there's the world map where it's like zoomed out.
Yeah.
And I think they could have decorated the world map where it's zoomed out a little more with like asteroid fields and just like random
Well,
stuff.
I do think it's cool
but-
that, in previous games that you had that kind of map and it was like, oh, you got to follow this straight path, right?
Mhm.
And so you would, but then they're like, no, there's no straight path. You can go whatever
You can go
want
all
to.
the way above everything and not fight a single thing or do anything.
That's what I enjoyed the most about it. Any other positives that you think I missed on my list here?
I'm sure there is, but I can't think.
Because you said gummy ships were a positive. I put them in meh, but opinions, they're kind of like assholes. Everyone's got one and they stink.
I think as always they're really good with reveals. There were some good reveals.
What do you mean reveals?
Like Ericus, and some people like or wait, no, was that already confirmed, like known? That Ericus is in Terra?
I don't know if it was confirmed, but it
was like suspected.
pretty-
And then like with Eric or with Terra being the Heartless, like the Guardian.
See, I felt the game, besides the end scene, I felt personally it played it really safe and didn't have very many twists.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of twists.
Yeah. Or normally I think there would have been more. But I think that's good. And Nomura, there's an art book I got with the special edition where he talks about he rewrote the ending a lot of times and decided to go with the most straightforward version he could come up with because he wanted to make everybody happy. That's why. And I'm sure there was some other version where Riku dies and stuff like that. But
no, but I just mean like there's a lot of parts where you kind of just like want to pop off, like, oh my god, like stuff like that. Even just like, I don't know, for me, like seeing like what Axel and Isa are looking like in their new clothes, like stuff like that. Where
there's
you're
a lot
like,
of stuff like
oh
that.
snap.
And that's like kind of
But-
what we talked about with like story beats and stuff too. Like
Yeah. I just think that there was a lot of those, you know,
I agree.
where it's like, oh
Well,
my
it's
God.
it's a million games worth of stuff built up. Where
Right.
they have to pack. It's kind of like Avengers in that way, where it's like you gotta pack everything, and if Hawkeye's not in there, everybody's gonna be like, "Where the fuck's Hawkeye?" at?"
Yeah.
Which we were, and
Right.
now we'll find out in April. I only had 2 mehs. And one was
Okay.
the gummy ships, which we talked about. My mother meh is one that people have been talking about a lot, and it's the pacing. Now, people are saying, oh, all the stuff's at the end, and the Disney worlds don't matter. And what I would say to you is, welcome to Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah.
right? I do think it's better in 3. I do think they tried to tie every Disney world into what was going on, but it's still not good enough. It's still a meh to me. The biggest view of that to me is the Tangled and Frozen worlds and how they basically arbitrarily came up with, oh, there's more Princesses of Heart now. I don't think that's going to become a plot point in any other game. He might write it in now because people complained about it. But it was just so Larkseed had a reason to be in Arendelle, and so Marluxia had a reason to be in Corona.
Yeah.
And it's very transparent. That was the only reason they came up with that Princesses of Light thing. And that
Felt like it would be a backup.
That bothered me a little bit. And
I think it's believable though. That's the thing. It's not.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's believable, but we thought this was gonna. And even in the trailers, when Larkseed goes, "The new Princesses of Heart," like it was in Japanese or whatever, I was like, "The new Princess of Heart." There's no way they're packing 7 more princesses into this game.
Yeah.
There's just no way. We know all the worlds. What is Baymax a princess? So I knew it was like kind of a red herring. Even then, I felt like it. There's no way there's enough in this game, based on what we've seen, to have 7 Princesses of Heart. And I even was like, well, I bet, Rapunzel's one, and I bet they pick Anna and Elsa to be one. So there's 3, and then Kyrie's the 4th, because for some reason you can renew your membership to be a Princess of Heart. I guess it doesn't have to expire. You can renew and re-up with the Princesses of Heart Club for some reason. And then with that pacing is most of the important story beats were at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And it felt not rushed. I don't think it felt rushed. I think it was very deliberate, but it made it like I don't know if I'd want it any other way, the way the game worked out. Cause like say after Monsters Inc. or after Arendelle, you go rescue Aqua. So then you're going to these other worlds, and Aqua's just sitting at Yensid's tower, Riku and Mickey, and what the fuck are they doing? Right?
I mean, it would make sense if, like, when you saved her, she was, like, knocked out or something. Like, she was, like, sleeping or something, you know?
Okay. No, I like that. That would have made sense. Okay, that would have been better.
Yeah.
Because in my head, she would have immediately wanted to go for Ven, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to save Ven. And then it's like, why aren't you fighting everybody? Why are you going to these worlds? Because really, you going to the worlds made no sense. Because they never gave you a reason to do it other than Sora needs to find the power of waking. But he just kept going to worlds. What if he never found it? What if and then he didn't find it, and they just said, well, he did find it. Oh well, we got our friends back. Let's go.
Yeah.
So it was kind of. I understand people's arguments with it, but at the same time, it doesn't bother me that much because it's. If you compare it to Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2, it's way better.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is they actually included, nobodies here for some reason, and in 2 they kind of did that sometimes.
Yeah, like even in 2, like there would be certain times where like, why is this person here?
Right, it was just like
why is this organization member here? Yeah. So I think they did a good job of tying in with we wanted to see how hearts react with this, and it would match up with like the lore of that Disney world,
Right.
So I think that was really clever. And there's some times where I wish they had gone like more in depth with it.
Yeah. For sure.
And yeah, the pacing was a little weird in some of the worlds where it's just like it skips a lot, like in Pirates, and then in
Corona, Arendelle.
Arendelle.
And that's the problem when you go directly by what the movies did.
Yeah.
Is you can't include everything because it's not a movie.
Right.
And that's why I think Toy Story and Monsters, Inc. and Big Hero 6 were much more successful as worlds than the other three.
Yeah.
Even though I did like Pirates, but that was more gameplay. I liked Pirates, not necessarily the story.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of weird.
Turns into crabs. They don't even I didn't. Okay, you gotta remind me. In Pirates 2, is there a fake Jack Sparrow made out of crabs?
Yeah. Oh, in 3.
In 3.
Well, they're not like made. So when he's in the locker, like in Davy Jones' locker, he's on the boat, and there's a ton of him.
Right.
And they're just everywhere.
He's in the final world.
Basically, like,
right.
And like
oh my
at
God,
one
is that
point
where Nomura got the idea for that?
At one point, one of them kills another one.
That's
like,
right. Okay, I remember that.
So, and then I think he like gets off the boat and then like looks at a crab or something, or looks at a rock, and then it turns into a crab, and then there's a whole bunch of them. So I think they kind of just rolled with more like.
Well, the crabs are supposed to represent Teodama, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I'm saying in the movie, is there a point where people think they're talking to Jack Sparrow, and then it turns out it was crabs? Okay.
No.
Because I couldn't remember that. I thought that was like. I'm glad that you clarified that.
And,
for me,
and Teodama turns into those crabs when
right,
she gets released.
Does. So they do this thing so Jack Sparrow's with you in the world where it's really Teodama as crabs, but she takes the form of Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
So Jack Sparrow can be with you during this part where it makes no sense that Jack Sparrow would be with you.
Yeah.
And I remember we were playing it, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Well, then
Why
because
would
you
Jack
see him
Sparrow
in
leave his
cutscenes, and then you see him like it's kind of like he's teleporting everywhere, and you're like, what is going on?
Right. It's very confusing. The pacing.
It wasn't like foreshadowed either, to where you could
No.
figure it out.
And then you're supposed to go, oh, that cutscene that Sora wasn't privy to at all.
That's true too. It's like, oh well, we don't have a cutscene for that in this game because Sora wasn't there, and then they do that in other worlds.
Right, exactly. So
it's a little weird.
Yeah, but that again, see KH1, KH2.
Yeah.
For that. All right, so let's talk about negatives, Jason. The first negative I have written down is easy game is easy.
Easy game is easy.
There's no crit mode. You have to make challenges to really be challenged. For example, don't buy Koopo coins, level 1 run, etc. Magic is way overpowered.
Yeah.
In general. And in my opinion, and that's what a review is someone's opinion, Kingdom Hearts 2's combat is a deeper experience than Kingdom Hearts 3's. I think I have more fun playing Kingdom Hearts 3 because the amount of options available to you at a surface level. But I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is a deeper combat experience where you feel more challenged and you have more fun. Not more fun, but you technically have to be better at the game in order to do it. Like it's a deeper.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
No, yeah.
And that maybe that's a positive for somebody, maybe it's a negative for somebody. I think overall it's a little bit of a negative because I feel like when you're building a series and you go Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2 to Kingdom Hearts 3, you want to build. You want it to be better, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that it's objectively better. You know, in my opinion, it's not. I think it's more fun, which is a hard thing to like really grasp when you're reviewing something because it's like, well, if it's more fun, it's better, but it's like not necessarily. You know, like in movies, like you like, okay, Avengers is a more fun movie than I'm trying to think of like an artsy ass movie that people like, but you know what I mean?
It doesn't make it better.
It doesn't make it a better movie.
It's different.
It's just more fun. You know, and video games, it's a little different than that because you actually have
and
control.
I think
of the
that's a
fun.
good example too, because it's like people might not have more fun watching Avengers. They might like that other movie. You know, like it's objective.
Right, I mean, okay. You mean it's subjective?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's subjective.
But I can say, and maybe someone will argue with me on this, but it's objectively more fun to watch Avengers than it is to watch like Schindler's List. You know what I mean?
For some people.
No, well, maybe some Nazis probably enjoy it more, I guess. But I think that's objectively more fun to watch Avengers. And I'm not comparing Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 to Schindler's List.
Okay,
and Avengers,
well, okay, you disproved your own point. Okay, anyway.
Right. I proved my point.
I don't know why.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the easy game. I wish the game was a little more difficult. I wish they
There was any bosses where I was like, okay, I need to really like pay attention to beat this boss.
right. Yeah, the
That's the thing though. It's like hard because it's like either you make a boss fight like to where you can't beat it without trial and error dying over and over, or I hope they go in this direction more when you fight Xehanort and when you fight like some of the org battles and when you fight like the secret boss, the Dark Inferno. They punish you for doing things that you might do in order to be like let's say there's like beginner level, you never block and you never aerial
Right.
recover, like
Right, they
beginner
punish you for
level,
that.
right?
yeah.
Then the next level
Especially
up
Dark
is
Inferno.
like next level is blocking, like spamming block and also spamming aerial dodge, right? Like aerial dodge and then instantly like recover or something, like instantly use cure, right? Like habits that a lot of people will get by just playing the games, and they punish you for that. And I hope that they go more in depth with that, so then there's like almost kind of like mix-ups with it, you
Yeah.
know? So like
Well, they could definitely build on this combat system. It's just the version they released to us was so easy
yeah.
that I think it's going to be tough for them to do it right without a critical mode and without, because a lot of people, that really would enjoy that challenge, I think are going to move on from KH3 pretty quick.
Like they'll just go back.
They're going to show you their KH2 FM tattoo they have on their right above their asshole, and they're going to they're gonna rep that for life. It's like Melee to Smash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People, and what's funny is, a few years ago, before the remasters of those, I think people would tell you, because Final Mix wasn't prevalent in America at that point,
Yeah.
and I think people would tell you that they'd be a lot closer on Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. But right now, because of that Final Mix, everybody's like, "Ooh, Kingdom Hearts 2 is god tier. It's the best game of all time." And it's like, it's a really good game.
It is really good.
But I don't think there would be that disparity between the other titles like there is right now, where they're like, if Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix isn't your favorite game, then you're a fucking scrub trash.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. None of them have gotten the same treatment as 2, though. Like you
Well,
can't
one
go
got a Final
through and refight a bunch of the bosses in Kingdom Hearts 1 on a harder difficulty.
Right.
You can do that in 2.
That's another one of my actually negatives. Then we can jump to it right now instead of I didn't write it down actually, but another one of my negatives is that a lot of people will give the defense of, well, you can't compare Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix to Kingdom Hearts 3 because Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't a Final Mix, right?
Yeah.
But when you take Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, or Kingdom Hearts 2 in general, Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, and then to Kingdom Hearts 2, they built on that, and they said, we're going to keep going in this direction. We're going to include the same kind of stuff from Final Mix 1, right?
I can't even remember. What is the difference between 1 and 1 Final Mix?
I mean, there's not a whole lot. I don't have the list in front of me.
Right. But I
But-
can't think of any like major things.
Well,
Whereas in 2, it's like Cave of Remembrance, all of the data fights.
They added a lot more. Kingdom Hearts 1 has the fight with Xemnas, the Final Mix.
Okay, yeah, and then it also has the certain mushrooms.
Yeah, and they made some slight battle changes. I think like there's certain. They added some reaction commands that weren't there in Final.
Oh yeah, and they changed how you open chests and
Yeah.
like small quality of
So
life changes.
But they built on that for Kingdom Hearts 2, and then they
Right.
built on it more for Final Mix, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of went backwards in certain aspects, and it's.
I think they just wanted to get the game to people too.
Right.
You
It's
know?
15 years later, and things are going to be different because we're in a different world now,
Yeah.
But it's still a little disappointing to see that, and it's not that argument of, well, it's not a Final Mix yet. I get it, but it's also like Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't do things that Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix did, and that was 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
And so that's one of my negatives. My next negative is Frozen is bad. Arundel's a bad world.
I like the music. That's
The
about
music's good. The music's god tier.
it.
But everything else about it's bad. The and I read recently that
There's not many like world specific Heartless.
there's just the deer in Frozen. Or are you saying in general?
I guess in general, no. I think more so in Frozen.
There's just the deer boys. But the world is just
And then the like electric ones, like the Larkseen ones.
yeah, the nobodies, yeah. But
Yeah.
each world has its own nobodies. But it's just the labyrinth sucks
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with Frozen. So if I'm a fan of Frozen, I'm like, what the fuck? When am I gonna get to Elsa or whatever? If
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Frozen, I'm like, wow, this fucking sucks. Right? It's for
Yeah.
nobody. And then you go up the mountain, you go down the mountain, you go up the mountain, you go down the mountain, you go up the thing part where the ice dragons or whatever are chasing
That's
you.
the
is
worst part of the
ass.
entire game.
It's ass. It's terrible. The sledding's fine. I don't have a problem with
I
the
like
sledding.
the sledding when you're going down the hill, but
yeah.
like at that point when I'm so like, because I'm playing the game over and over, right?
Mhm.
And that might be something that's has to do with it, but like even if I was just playing, even when we played it on the channel and then I played it on my own time, I was like, oh my god, like I hate this part. Like this is so lame. There's no skill involved, really. Like it's just going back and forth, and then
and it's overly long. And
way
repetitive.
too long. There's not like anything you can do to speed it up.
Yeah,
like
it's a bad section.
there's not anything really to even do at certain points. For the first, so when I was playing it, when the first two are shooting at you, if you just time your jump, you don't even have to move until all three of them are moving.
Right. Yeah, it's stupid. And then, you don't get to explore the coolest parts of Frozen, which, I mean, I'm not a huge Frozen buff or anything, but I'm assuming the castle town would be cool to look at. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming Elsa's actual fortress.
Yeah, you can't go in it. You can
can't go
look
in
at it.
You can look at it. You can't go in it. And then the
Even if it was just like a loading screen and then it's just like the center room, because that's really the only thing that they show in the movie.
right. And what they should have done is just at the end, after that level's over, you can go back by where there's all the characters are standing there, and you can talk to them to do like a certain sliding in the game, and you can take pictures with them or whatever.
Yeah.
If they would just put them in that room instead,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like going to Beauty and the Beast and not having the ballroom.
right. Yeah, definitely. And I had another point. Oh, the fucking snowman building.
Oh, I hate Olaf.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I like Olaf in the movie.
I think Olaf's fine, but
Having to rebuild him twice is so stupid.
and the lines come so fast and so repetitive.
Yeah.
Would I describe it as snug or cozy? I guess.
And then he just
snug.
keeps
And
going.
it's just like, just shut up, Olaf. So
It was
yeah,
cute at first, and then like
and then when you couldn't find the right body piece,
you're
it
like,
was-
oh my god, what the hell?
yeah. I did like how they tied in the music from the movie. I thought that was cool.
If you like
As
those,
someone who's
if
never
you like
seen
Let
Frozen,
It Build a,
I
let's
liked
build
it.
a snowman. How do you want to build a snowman? Do you think we could build a snowman? Whatever
How
that
would
song
you like
is.
to build a snowman?
Yeah,
Uh,
whatever that song is, and Let It Go.
and I read recently.
And they look so good.
Yeah, it looks good. Well, it's literally the scene from
Right.
the film with Sora.
And then they
parts
do that
spliced
in Pirates too. I think it's
Yes.
really cool too. No, but
They
we're on the negative
had-
part.
They had before Frozen even came out, Nomura had agreed with Disney to include Frozen in the game.
Yeah, the green light.
And from what I hear, that was the world that Disney, Tangled and Frozen were the ones that Disney was most protective of and said, hey, you can only do certain things. They made it work for Tangled. Tangled was great. Frozen was bad.
Yeah.
But I did see the trailer for Frozen 2, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should watch Frozen, because that trailer looked badass.
I haven't seen it. I didn't even know there was a trailer for Frozen 2.
Yeah, it came out
I didn't know that was a thing.
a week or two ago.
Mm.
It came out. And like Elsa's like trying to like freeze waves to walk across them,
Huh.
and she keeps trying, and I don't know. It looks cool.
Hmm.
It looks cool. I was impressed. Yeah, so Frozen's bad. My next negative is that there's no Final Fantasy characters, and this is kind of a nitpick,
Yeah.
but we missed them.
Right.
We missed them. Hand or pencil.
And that's like
don't
what got a
count.
lot of people into it. You know,
Yozora does not count.
like that's the thing that I feel like
He's mad. He doesn't want to include their characters
I don't care. That's the thing is like when you have like a base like there was people who played the game because Disney, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if they cut out Disney, then those people who only came there for Disney are like
And
left unsatisfied.
you know what?
There's people who came from Final Fantasy and now you don't have Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
They're left unsatisfied. It makes sense.
I don't need them to be huge parts of the story, but it just
Yeah,
would have been
no.
nice to have like a couple characters in Twilight Town, or like in
Anywhere.
I don't know, go visit Radiant Garden. You know they
Yeah.
rendered some of it. You could have them visit, or like, Ienzo is like talking to you on his gummy phone, and there's like Leon in the background. So, like something like that would have been cool.
But he has no voice actor.
right, just like the other two. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another point we need to make. Phil doesn't have a voice actor, and this is the worst possible thing to ever happen.
I told you why Phil doesn't have a voice actor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's because the Japanese voice actor died, and so they didn't write him any lines out of respect. And I understand that, because as Logan Paul would tell you, the Japanese are all about respect.
Oh, Jesus.
All about respect. So that's why Phil doesn't have a voice actor. But Zaldin and Lexius
Don't have voice
doing, like,
actors.
cartoony
Like mime.
I don't know. You know, that was too
Black and
goofy.
white, yeah.
And it made it so apparent they don't have voice actors. You know, it was just like, oh, that's bad. But yeah, the no Final Fantasy characters is a problem. And you know, how easy would it have been instead of Scrooge, which I love Scrooge, don't get me wrong, or maybe in addition to Scrooge, little chef has an assistant and it's Ignis. And he's like, I've discovered a new recipe. You know, like
That would have been sick.
that's
would have
so
been
on
sick.
brand. But Nomura's mad, and he doesn't want to put the Final Fantasy characters in his game anymore because they didn't let him make the game he wanted to make. He most certainly would not put any Final Fantasy 15 characters in it.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Well, it's like he's only using characters he made, you know?
Well, he made those characters.
Right, but like they're not the same character he made.
No, they're not his creation anymore. Someone
Yeah.
took them and maligned them and changed them and transformed them. They are no longer his. So that's a nitpick, though. I think the game is fine without it, but I would have liked to see that. I should have put that.
I
in
think
there.
at the very least, because like a lot of their stories are kind of like wrapped up, like oh they took care of their home, like
I just
want
want to know what happened to Zach.
I want to know what happened to Zach. That's a loose end.
In real life.
And also,
you want to know what happened to Zach in Final Fantasy VII?
yeah, I know because you won't freaking play with me. No. And then also like the Cloud Sephiroth thing, like they left that really open, like oh I can't wait for this in KH3, you know. And I remember like up to KH3, like I want to know if like KH developers were like watching like the YouTube videos of people like, oh what needs to be tied up in KH3, and then it's like, what happens with Cloud and Sephiroth?
And
they're like,
"Eee."
yikes.
Look at Nomura and he's like, ooh, oh, tough crowd. You know?
Like yeah, I wonder if that ever happened. Just like
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it because I feel like there aren't. Have you ever heard of a Japanese YouTuber?
I mean, wait, they're on a completely different like website.
Yeah.
I don't get what you're
I don't
saying.
know. I was just saying that I feel like American YouTubers are a little more like make stupid videos like that as opposed to Japanese YouTubers.
I don't think it's just Americans.
Well, anyway. But yeah, Final Fantasy characters, they're not there. Okay, so this is the next one. Well, let's go over the other story issues. The everyone is dead not section
Yeah.
is very confusing.
Also, I would have been fine with it if Jiminy Cricket wasn't there.
Oh my god, yeah, Jiminy's pretty bad.
I hate Jiminy Cricket with every fiber in my being.
Yeah, you've come to the dark side with me.
right.
He repeats the same voice line over and over, and that's why it's annoying.
There's two voice lines that he has when you go through the corridors, and you have to do 7 corridors, and so he says the same 2 lines like 7 times.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's so annoying.
my issue with it is
Just
was
don't
it-
have him say anything.
well, no, I'm trying to get off the Jiminy topic because that's such a nitpick. But was it time travel? Did they die? It's very unclear about, because you think it's clear because you go, it worked, and Donald and Goofy are like, of course it is. Now point us right back at him, and then you go out there and everybody does the same exact fucking thing. But then Lingering Will shows up, and it's just kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
Did everybody die? Because then, you go to the final world with Sora, and you put yourself back together, and it's very clear they tell him you're dead. But because KHIII's holding on to you, somehow, she's a princess of heart. She renewed her membership.
But it seems like she died because she got vortexed.
Right. So her soul is hanging out or whatever. So you put yourself back together, and then it goes back to the scene where Riku's standing in front of you. Right?
Yeah.
And then you get overtaken by Heartless again, but then you're saving everybody's heart. It just doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, like
there's no version of it that makes sense.
Even in KH, like in KH, does this make sense? It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
And like the big thing, and I'm gonna be like really mad if this is like why, is it goes like black and white and it does that text and it's like, and as foretold on that day, like light like expired and darkness prevailed. If they just did that, just like to tie up that, I think that's super whack.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
hopefully we get more of an explanation down the road, but right now we don't have it,
Right.
and it's frustrating.
and all the fanfic people are super pissed because people were like, this means that there's Sora Nor. But that didn't happen. Yeah. I don't think that would ever happen,
No.
but there's some actual.
Well, and it's almost like we were baited because they played that big scene with Sora going no and screaming,
Yeah.
and it really meant nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
You
too.
know, and I get it. Like you're not gonna kill off every character for real. It's a Disney game, you know.
Yeah.
But I felt like if maybe you explained what was happening, that would be a good start.
Yeah.
You know, and on that same topic of Lingering Will, they don't explain where he went.
Yeah.
Him and Terranor are fighting, and then when you get into the labyrinth, he just disappears.
Yeah.
Did Yen Sid eat him? What happened there? You know what I mean? Like they don't explain it. And my assumption is there was a scene that was cut because they ran out of time or whatever,
Yeah.
where they show him going to the Guardian, and that would have spoiled that the Guardian was Terra or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably what happened. But it's just it's again adds to the confusion, and you go, wait, what?
Yeah.
On top of a scene that's already very confusing. But these are nitpicks for story. My main problem with the story, and my main negative, is that the overall conclusion to this story is not satisfying.
No.
The BBS story conclusion is satisfying. The 358/2 story is satisfying. You could even say Riku had some closure in this, and it was satisfying. But the way Xehanort is dealt with is not satisfying.
No.
And I get he wrote the most straightforward ending. That's fine. Everybody's happy. But he doesn't come off as a sympathetic character at all, and then we're supposed to feel sympathetic for
Right.
him.
For like so many years and so many times they showed him, and he's just like pure evil, basically.
And if they would have hinted, other than that little purple star in the beginning movie, that there was something else under control of him here, I
Or
would
if
have
they
been
showed something at the end where like
Right.
his eyes go from being yellow to like silver or whatever
Right.
they were.
I would have
again.
been so much more happy with it because I would have been like sitting here going, "Ooh, who was going to control him?" That would have been a cool twist to that. But instead, and maybe they'll go with that later, and that's fine. But right now in this game, I'm not happy with the conclusion of that. I do like how the game ended over, if that makes sense. I guess I don't like Xehanort's conclusion, is what I mean. I do like Sora disappearing at the end, even though it is somewhat confusing. But that's part of what Kingdom Hearts is as far as making you talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Having that feeling afterwards of emptiness because you just spent your time being invested in this game. And then you go, Sora's daddy didn't even get laid, you know, and it's
Not even a smooch.
not even a little smooch from KHIII, or Riku.
Right.
I'm
At least
down
one
with it.
smooch.
Give the man a smooch. I don't care who it is. get a smooch from Donald and Goofy.
Oh no, please no.
Donald sticks his tongue out and
Ugh.
smooches you. So I don't have a problem with that ending, but the whole Xehanort conclusion thing was very disappointing to me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, some characters they tried to have like a weird redemption for them, like Zenmus and Ansem.
For some of them it makes sense. Where like Marluxia, it makes sense. Not so much Larxene, but we don't know as much about. But
well, Larxene didn't really try to redeem herself. She called you. She said you had a garbage opinion.
right, exactly,
Right.
yeah.
And
then
the one person who it would have made sense for was Syax, but they decided to have him like be like defiant, and go, you get the marks on your eyes, you baby, stop crying. Like they still had him be a jackass.
I don't know. I think it fits his
And
character.
I do think it fits his character, but it's like I don't know why Xemnas is suddenly feeling melancholy and Ansem is like, carpe diem, young man, go forth. And it's like,
yeah.
what is this?
That I can believe it for Xemnas if you think about it like this. Like, okay, so his goal it's different because that it's like he's like Xehanort's nobody kind
Right.
of, right?
Right.
It makes sense in that aspect. But if you think about it, say, okay, if Xemnas is his own being, then like in KH2, he's trying to, and I saw a video on it. People are mad that with what happened in Dream Drop Distance to kind of mess up Xemnas' character, but like he wants to have a heart and he'll do anything to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes it so it's like a believable villain. Like he doesn't care who he has to kill or whatever, manipulate to try and get a heart because he's incomplete and he wants to be complete, right? It makes sense, and that's why I think a lot of people really like his character. I don't even care so much that, like, okay, Ansem is darkness, so, like...
He's literally a heartless.
Yeah. So, like, okay, he's a heartless, so that's why he's evil, and I'm fine with that. But then it's, like, at the end, these two characters who, like... That's why I'm not as mad about it with Xemnas, because it's like, okay, he finally has this, but now that he's, like, can feel again... Now he's just kind of like sad.
Yeah,
I can believe it a little bit.
Yeah, and I get it, but it's
like Ansem. He's like,
I don't think they earned it. I don't think they earned it, and through storytelling, I don't think they said, there was never a point where Xemnas' character was like, showing any remorse, and I get it. He didn't have a heart, right?
Yeah.
But they've shown many times that being a nobody doesn't mean you have a heart. They've shown that to us multiple times through Roxas and Axel, and and so for him to be this non-feeling thing, and then suddenly, in his last moments, go, "Oh, being human must be like." They didn't earn it to me. There was no foreshadowing of it, and the same with Ansem. They were just like, "Oh, I didn't. I wanted to defy my fate, but when I saw you know what I mean? Like I don't think either of them earned it."
That one struck the worst to me is the Ansem one. If they showed. I think what would redeem it for me more with the Xemnas thing is if at one point Xemnas is talking to like one of the somebodies that used to be in the original organization and
showing any kind of camaraderie.
Yeah, if they're like
any kind of camaraderie.
Yeah,
because
just anything like that.
He was just the big boss that didn't really, and when he was around, everybody was creeped out, and you know what I mean? Like that's how it was. And so there was no way that. Like they never showed
like even
him.
if they show like when it's Terranort,
right?
And it's like, oh, he remembers him as Terranort, like Xemnas Terranort, it would be the same for him, right? Then
even like Braig, oh my good buddy Braig, we used to be buds.
Yeah,
remember that Braig?
Remember that?
Remember when you waited 10 years to get a Keyblade, you idiot? Yeah, but I agree, and. It's different for some characters. Some of them are really good. Like I really liked Vanitas's thing. I really liked Zigbar. I thought it was weird and creepy, and it made sense later.
And it makes sense later a lot.
The Riku replica thing was a little confusing.
Yeah, that was really dumb to me because it's like, okay, like, no, Naminé needs it more, and it's like,
couldn't Vexen just make another one?
Right. You just killed yourself.
He literally like puts these things out like Barbie dolls, dude. Like,
yeah,
I think it's fine.
Right.
I bet. Do you think like under the robe that replica just had like the the painted underwear on like a Barbie doll or a Ken doll has. That's what I think. I think if you took off
I
the
think
robe,
there's nothing there.
yeah, it's definitely flat, but they're like the stitched in underwear that they put on, so it's like Barbie's not naked. You know? That's what I think. Next point, power waking is confusing.
Yeah.
I think I have it figured out after spending a lot of time playing the game, but it's still no one. Okay, here's the main problem with it: is from the end of DDD, it's you need to know the power waking, Sora. You need to know the power waking, Sora. In order to save your friends, you have to have the power waking, power waking, power waking. I'm Yen Sid, and I say power waking a lot. And nowhere in that does Yen Sid go, but when you do figure it out, it's a very crazy power. You better be careful and not use it the wrong way.
Yeah.
There's nothing about that, right? And so it's
like Yensid wanted him to fail.
right. It's like you got to learn the power waking, and then he gets it and uses it completely wrong because no one really, according to what's going on, he's using it completely wrong. Except when apparently when he woke Ventus, apparently he used it right then. That was fine.
And all it was just wanting it really bad.
Yeah, right. The power waking is really wanting your friend to come back and save Aqua.
Really bad.
But then he's not even. My problem with it is it's like, okay, you're chasing the Lich, but you're going through the Lich's portals. It's not like you're pointing your Keyblade and that weird like symbol comes up with the keyhole, and you follow the Lich through it. You're following the Lich through its portals.
Right.
So how are you using the power of waking there?
Yeah, it kind of made it seem like it wasn't really power of waking. At least maybe the very first. Who does he save first?
Riku.
Okay, so I could see. Okay, it's power of waking right there, but then it's just killing the Lich to release their heart, and then following the Lich through his portals or whatever.
Right.
Like through dark corridors.
Right, but he's not even making the dark corridors.
What do you mean?
Sora's not even.
No, I know the Lich is making the dark corridors, but he's following the Lich, right?
The Lich is designed to. It's a heartless design to bring men deeper and deeper into.
It was honestly like a Davy Jones thing, like, oh, the Lich is just doing its job, you know?
Right, right. Well, but then, and you know what? If young Xehanort was like, in order to get out of here, you're gonna have to use the power waking, and you're gonna fucking die, dude. Like, you better not do it. I would have been like more understanding, but then Chip and Dale pop up and they go, "Hey, Sora, we found a way back to the Keyblade graveyard."
Yeah.
What?
They could have just.
Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
What do you mean? And then he's floating in a portal, and then there's KHIII, and it's like, what do Chip and Dale have to do with this?
Yeah.
What kind of cosmic powers do Chip and Dale have
To talk to dead people.
Right. So it was very confusing, and just I still don't really quite understand it. I know that Riku and them use it to get to where he's fighting Xehanort at the end because it's the same kind of thing. And I know Sora uses it when he leaves at the end because it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they don't show it that way when he's following the Lich, so it's confusing.
Yeah. No, I really hate the whole Chip and Dale thing and the Jiminy. Like, honestly hate it because it's like, in the other games, and I felt like it was like you have 0.2, which basically sets up, like 0.2 is the exact like feeling that you want this part of the game to be.
Yeah.
Just lost, trying to figure out what to do. She doesn't have a Chip and Dale, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, oh, the power of their hearts. No, like, it's Chip and Dale.
Right. I don't. And that's the Disney argument, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. But, like, okay, there's this whole, like, everyone's dead, right? And he's following them to where they're dead, where their heart is, right?
Mm-hmm.
To release their heart and get it back.
Yeah.
But then, like, they still travel back in time. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
If you're traveling back in time, you don't need to do that.
Earlier. Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. Everyone is dead not. Is what I like to call
They
it.
all die.
Everyone is dead not.
And then he comes back to life. But he doesn't come back to life in that same time frame. Then he dies again. Then goes back. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. Last negative point we're going to make. And I just wrote, KHIII. So, I know you're a staunch KHIII defender, and I do like KHIII as a character, and I think when people say she's not a character, I think that's reductive and not fair.
Yeah.
That's like saying Hawkeye isn't a character because of the first Avengers movie, he was hypnotized.
Yeah.
KHIII's definitely a character. However, they did spend a lot of time building up, KHIII's going to do stuff, KHIII's going to do stuff. And then she did jack shit.
Yeah, she didn't do anything.
And it was pretty disappointing. I know a lot of people who really wanted to see KHIII succeed were very disappointed.
And I see that too.
And using her as male character development is kind of shit.
Yeah, no, definitely.
She's the princesses in another castle. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I get it. That's what Kingdom Hearts has been from the beginning. I understand it.
But why do all this build up?
Right. If you were just going to keep her the same way, why go, oh, she's training with Lee, and she gets a new outfit again, and a haircut. And I mean, Xemnas grabs her by one arm with the Keyblade in it.
Mm-hmm.
Summon your Keyblade in your other hand, KHIII, and cock him in the face.
Yeah.
That would have been so cool. That would have been such a, like, we would have been like, oh, shit.
KHIII's a badass.
And then let him take Xion and kill Xion or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, even if she just puts up a little bit of a fight.
Right.
Like
exactly.
the smallest fight.
Yeah. And she did nothing. She
and then Xehanort
Xion
slashes her. She dies.
Right. And it was pretty disappointing. And I get that, like.
And how does that not? Okay.
Yeah, the whole dying thing's confusing. So Sora couldn't hold on to her, and
yeah. Okay, no. But the whole reason Xehanort kills her is to enrage Sora to fight him to make the last Keyblade. Doesn't killing her just make the last Keyblade?
Yep.
Because she's one of the lights.
Yep. Should happen.
Or you tell me Jimny's actually the light.
Well, hold on though. Xion replaced her as the light.
Oh my god.
When she was captured.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, oh yeah, okay, once Xion becomes a person, then it replaces her, so then when Xehanort kills her, she's not counted as one of the 7 lights.
Yeah.
Even though she's still Princess of Light, it's a different 7 lights.
Yeah, it's a different set.
So it's like she has both memberships, and then...
You can't collect one set of baseball cards and then collect one from... you're one short of this baseball set.
Right.
And then the different set go, oh, I got one of these, though. No, it don't work like that.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, the KHIII thing is just very disappointing.
Right.
And you know, as someone who likes KHIII, I would wanted to see her succeed more than that.
Like, you can have her in distress in different ways.
Right. Or you could, you know...
Like, KHIII's in the tornado, and she's fighting, and she's doing badass stuff, but she's stuck in, like, as you're doing parts of the fight, like, you can see she's starting to lose.
You could even do it how you did it, right? Where she gets captured by Xemnas, they teleport away. Sora's fighting the 3 amigos with Riku and the king, and then she kind of wakes up, and she's like standing behind Master Xehanort, right? And
I'm like thinking like horror film type stuff where like
no.
they think the bad guy's dead, and he like gets up and
she notices that like he's not paying attention, right?
Yeah,
and then she gets a good hit on him or something, or
kills him,
and
straight up kills him.
Not kills him, but like, and he's like, oh, you bitch, and then you know, they fight for a few seconds, and
holy cow,
that's when Sora goes, wait, KHIII, and starts running up, and then he kills her.
And then she looks over at Sora, and then he kills her.
And she's like, Sora, I'm sorry, and then he kills her. That would have been 10 times better, right? And that would have given like a Sora more of a purpose to go after her.
That too,
you know, and it just that would have been. It's such an easy rewrite.
Yeah,
and I get that, you know, maybe Nomura's not as woke as, you know, the internet is.
I don't know. I think it's just like you want your... It's like, okay, if you're woke enough to like write that in for the character, and like it's been alluded to since Kingdom Hearts 2 that like, oh, she has a Keyblade now, and then okay, now she's learning to use it, right?
Right.
And that's alluded to several times throughout the game.
Yeah.
Like... And then to just like completely drop that, it just doesn't make sense.
No, I agree. So yeah, that's our negatives.
Yeah.
So now it's time to score this thing.
It's time to score it.
What score would you give Kingdom Hearts 3, Jason?
I would say, like on a scale like 1 to 100. I'm saying I'm giving it like a 85.
85. Okay, that's a pretty
An
solid score.
85.
That's for reference.
10 that are unreplaceable. You can't get it because the end of the game is just not satisfying. 5 points that would be redeemable if there was more bosses at the end, like more end game stuff. So it could get to a 90. If like in the additional content, if they, because even if they go, okay, oh, Xehanort was being like pulled by with the strings, right? I'm still like, no, that's a 90. But if they add in more content, as it is right now, it's 85. But I would put it up to 90 if there was more end game stuff.
Okay. All right. For context, what would you give Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix?
What would I give Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix? Well, you can't just. We've been talking about this for hours, so I have like a. I don't know. I'd give it at least a 90.
Okay. All right. I just an estimate, you know.
Right. Yeah. I'd give it 90. 90 to 100, somewhere around there.
I would give. I'm gonna give Kingdom Hearts 3 358 over 2.
I knew you were gonna do this shit.
Out of 10. No. I would give
But
Kingdom
because
Hearts.
we went back in time, that means it's at 85.
Right. I will give Kingdom Hearts 7 Lights and 13 Darknesses out of 20. 20 out of 20. Which, if you transmogulate it over to the.
Are you giving it a 50 right now?
The 100-point scale.
Yikes.
I'm going to give it an 82.
An 82?
I'm going to go slightly lower than you, and
Okay.
here's why. Because I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I think there's more room for improvement than you think there is. And I think it's a fun game, but it's not a great game. I think it's a good, fun game. I don't think it's a great game.
I see that.
For reference, I'd give Final Mix 2 a 95.
I see.
I'd give Kingdom Hearts 1 a 96. Because I love Kingdom Hearts 1.
I can't.
To me, it's my third favorite Kingdom Hearts game.
Your third favorite?
1, 2, and 3 in that order. But I still really love it. I think it wasn't a letdown by any means.
No.
I think it was a fun game, and I will play it a lot more. We're not done with Kingdom
My
Hearts
main
3.
gripe, I guess I would lower it a little bit. My main gripe is like, okay, it's like the game that's like the conclusion. But you don't get a conclusion. You know, like
Some of it gets a conclusion.
it
not all of
seemed
it.
no, but like heavily at the end, it feels like it's a setup for the next one.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, like you can have it to where it sets up for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And still like it was heavy with like, oh, like Xehanort wasn't really this bad
Right,
guy.
but that's what I like about it.
I don't.
That's what gets us talking about it afterwards, getting excited about it. In my personal opinion, like that's why I love the secret movies, because they're so like out there and so like, oh, how does this connect to this, right?
Yeah.
And
Comes up with crazy theories because of it.
And Kingdom Hearts is one of the few games after I beat it, I have this kind of empty feeling of, and a really good movie will give me it too, where I'm like, I want to know more about this, but there's nothing more to know.
Right.
You know,
Or
there's
like a
nothing more
book
to
or something,
do.
yeah.
A few of the Final Fantasies gave me that feeling. When I beat The Walking Dead Season 1, that made me tear up quite a bit, and it gave me that kind of feeling. But not is the same. Like Kingdom Hearts is the king of that feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that when we concluded 3, I felt the same way I did when I concluded 2 and when I concluded 1. You know, after the secret movie, just going, what was this? What in the...
Yeah.
Those, like, I just... The thing that's always going to stick with me is us unlocking the movie real quick. Because when we beat it on our Let's Play, which this part isn't out yet, but you guys will see it down the road, we didn't have enough emblems for the secret movie on standard. So I was like, dude, let's just go get them right now. So we went and got them.
We were jonesing.
And then we came back like an hour later, and you go to the main menu because you don't have to beat the game again to see the secret movie. And it said movie Yozora unlocked. And I went, oh, what the fuck? That's always going to stick with me, that feeling of, oh my God, this wasn't just some like fun little stupid thing he stuck in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just that and it's the same way that when I first watched Deep Dive, I felt, or Sunset Horizon, or Another Side, Another Story, or whatever the other movies are called. You know, they give you this feeling of, and that's why I didn't like the we're on a tangent right now, but I didn't really like the like Birth by Sleep or like the DDD movies that much because I feel like they explained too much. They were like going into like there was like conversations that were had, and there was like, you know, like there's Aqua talking to Ansem the Wise on the beach, and it's like too much.
I don't know. I think you can't have one like appreciate one without the other.
I think they're cool. Don't get me wrong, but they're not the same as like we don't know who this kid is with two Keyblades running up the side of a building, and is that grown up Riku with a blindfold? I bet he can't. I bet his eyes couldn't lie. I bet that's what's going on. His eyes can't lie. Or, wow, these dudes in armor with Keyblades, and they're fighting this. You know, I don't know. I just feel like it's.
I get what you mean.
Those were way more mysterious, and that made him cooler to me. And Yozora is the same way for me. He nailed it as far as, and then you find out, oh, he's standing on a Square Enix building, and you're like, God damn it, Nomura!
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just I just love it. I can't wait for whatever is next in Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts 4.
Kingdom
But don't
Hearts.
you dare have a gradient on there because people are gonna think that it's actually 3.
God, dude, that. Well, they can't because the Roman numeral for 4 is IV. So.
I know, but if it's like partial,
well, then it'd be Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's gonna trigger people.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
That's so stupid. That's so dumb. Why did you remind me of that? I already got my piece out on that, and then you reminded me. Anyway, everybody, that's going to end this episode of the Ansem Report podcast. Next week, like I said, we're going to talk about what we want in DLC. So if you want to talk about that with us, and if you have any suggestions to what you think DLC should happen, shoot us an email at ansomreportpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at Spaghetti Bros. Or just comment on this video on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Also, you can leave us a review on iTunes or any other podcast platform that has reviews that I'm not aware of. But we're on every podcast platform. So shout out to you people that listen to us on Spotify. I know there's a lot of you. And thank you guys for hanging with us and checking us out. If you want to, you know, we'd love to hear from you guys talking about what you think score Kingdom Hearts should have got, or that we're idiots and Kingdom Hearts is the worst game ever and it should have got a 12.
Best game ever.
Or it was the best game ever, and how dare we not give it 100 out of 100. So we want to know what you think. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching, and hit him with it, Jason.
May your heart be your guiding key.
Thank you. One time I want to say hit it with him. Hit him with it, and you just say, I bet this is a good spot to find some ingredients.
Ingredients. I'll give them special sauce.